Hello, Robert Pajot from the National Trust for Canada here, speaking to you from Montebello, Quebec, at the site of the Papineau Memorial Chapel, also known as La Chapelle Funéraire Louis-Joseph Papineau. It's a property owned by the National Trust for Canada, and we are just embarking on a major conservation project of the exterior of the building. As you can tell from what you see behind me here, the scaffolding has just recently been installed. And so we're getting underway on the project, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to share with you what we are discovering along the way. So I will give you a little bit of a tour of the chapel and the scope of the project. And over the next few months, we hope to be bringing you some interviews with the craftspeople that we'll be working with on this restoration project. So we're looking forward to it. But first, a little bit about the chapel itself. It was built between 1853-54 as a private family funeral chapel for the Papineau family. 6 generations of that family are buried in its crypt or in graves adjacent to the chapel. It was gifted to the National Trust for Canada in 1974 by members of the family, all descendants of Louis-Joseph Papineau. As you can see, the chapel itself is a modest stone structure located in the forest only a couple hundred meters from the Manoir Papineau itself, a National Historic Site of Canada. That site and this chapel commemorate an important figure in Canadian history, Louis-Joseph Papineau. Papineau was a fierce defender of French-Canadian interests. His intellect and renowned oratory skills served him well as a member and a later speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Lower Canada in the early 19th century, and as leader of the Parti Canadien, or also known as the Parti Patriote. He was a key figure in the 1837 rebellion, and for that was forced into exile when it failed. But once amnesty was granted for the leaders of the rebellion, he returned to the Legislative Assembly, but then also began to improve his seigneurie, the property, and the construction of his new residence, the Manoir Papineau. Now back to our project. An important part of our project will be the replacement of the existing copper roof. It is not the original roof to the building. Has been replaced twice previously, but we will be reinstating this battened-seamed copper roof as part of our project. The chapel's masonry is in generally fairly good condition. We will be replacing some damaged stones, undertaking localized repointing, and cleaning in a couple areas where there are iron deposits on the surface, as you can see here on the facade of the chapel. But overall, the masonry is a fairly minor component to the overall project. The exterior wooden frames of the round window above the chapel door and that of the triangular window above the altar will also be conserved. So as you can see, the pointed arch of the door, of the wood doorway to the chapel, and the wooden doors themselves, massive wooden doors that are in relatively good condition, but are in certain need of conservation work. A lot of the ornamental details, like this beautiful hinge, or faux hinge in fact, and the buttons are in fact applied wooden details. The interior of the chapel is quite modest, with its central altar and the epitaphs that list the names of the Papineau family members that are interred here. Although we will be undertaking very little conservation work to the interior of the chapel as part of this current project, we have temporarily removed and crated up the artifacts from the walls and ceilings of the chapel for further protection during this project. So please stay tuned for more updates on our project as it progresses over the next couple of months. I'm hoping to be able to speak to some of the craftsmen that will be working on the roof and the masonry of the building and on the woodwork and share those stories with you. So stay tuned and we'll talk to you again soon.